and welcome to Let's Talk AppSec. My name is Mark Lambert, VP of Products here at ArmorCode, and I'm joined by the amazing Guzmán. How are we doing, Luis?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Mark.
Good, good. Did I say your name right? Luis. I have to really roll something in there, right?
It's a soft S.
All right, so we've already done a couple of chats, right? We talked about the integration of infrastructure and AppSec coming together. We talked about the collaboration. But the other thing that you and I talk about a lot is how do you even get started, right? We talk to a lot of people that are like, oh yeah, you know what? I'd love to have an AppSec program, but I don't have the people, I don't have the tools, I don't even know where to start. Or you know what? Guess what? We kind of like need to figure out the tools first. And actually, the State of AppSecOps survey that I referenced in our prior podcast, one of the things that came out from that is that the vast majority of people surveyed, like over 80%, and when we look at the leaders, it's 100%. So the tools are interchangeable. It's the process that's important. So how do we start, and how do we get a quick quick baseline in place? Now I know I have an opinion from a development perspective and from an AppSec or a DevSecOps perspective, but I'm going to turn it over to the infrastructure guy, right? So from your perspective, as you've gone on this journey with ArmorCode, right? What's kind of like your view?
So kind of where I came from, right? It was all infrastructure, endpoints, network, the EDR space, MDR space, TDR, XDR, whatever that DR you want to put in there. And the whole point was that there were so many disparate systems that potentially could have pieces of information that you needed. Each one of them had a vulnerability in there and what that vulnerability entailed, and then how it looked like contextually for you in your organization. All of that information had to come somewhere, and it had to be picked up somewhere. Usually it goes in a stupid spreadsheet, which I loathe, as you know, because you've worked with me for a little while now. I hate spreadsheets, but the fact is they still exist and they're still a pain in the butt, especially for the security infrastructure individual that has been dealing with these for 12, 15 years.
Yeah. Yeah, and when you're trying, you've got each of these point tools, and you have to manually bring all of this data together into a spreadsheet. A lot of the times, though, when we're talking to people, they don't even have all of the tools in place. So when I think about things from a DevOps perspective, we're talking about, hey, we want to go left, right? So what's the first thing we want to introduce? So for me, this is SCA, source composition analysis. This is the lowest false positive thing you're going to have. Should have the lowest level of developer friction. You should be able to plug it in pretty easy. There's great open source tooling out there. There's fantastic commercial tooling that's available with a freemium model, right? So Sneak gives you kind of like a certain number of scans. That's a great tool to get embedded in there. And then from there, the next step is SAST, so static application security testing. However, that's was the space I was in for about 20 years. I know that you have to configure them correctly, and there's a lot more investigation that's required to uncover some of the issues. So I always put that as a kind of like, I could interchange those two, but I kind of view that my SAST is really the best thing to do second once I got basic SCA in place, because you want to get some level of adoption and some starting point. What do you think? And what do you see from kind of like from the right? If I'm trying to bring stuff from the right into my application security program, what's your view, and what have you seen work?
So containerization, right? Being able to see all of the new containers that are out there. Aqua security, for one, is a big one. But then also being able to understand the infrastructure side. So like Metasploit or, a Qualys or Rapid7, and being able to grab that data that is still relevant. It may not be attacked as much as it used to, but it's still there. It's still an attack vector. That vertical for, the healthcare system and the finance system, it's all still there. So the fact that we can't just do away with what I would consider traditional vulnerability management, but understand that we need to be able to see it all at the same time.
Yeah, you got to really bring it together, which was kind of like the first point about our first conversation. And I think you go nicely there, because you've got the left, right, you got the right, and then you got this area in the middle, which is actually a lot more work usually, and that's your DAST, IAST. It's RASP, although there's like my opinions on RASP. And then you've got and then there's fuzzing as well, right? These things in the middle are the ones which are, in my opinion, take a lot more work, both in the actions, but also in the remediation and investigation phases. If you're taking pen testing from the right, there's some great technologies out there like Horizon 3.ai, which will do fully autonomous pen testing for you. And as you say, you have to bring this data all together. So All right, we've gone over 5 minutes again, buddy. So you know what? We're going to call it on this one. But
Okay.
you know, we have these conversations all the time, so we're going to have some more coming soon. So stay tuned and check out the next one.
See you guys.
Later.